And their only response to a supernatural God is devotion. It says that they were devoted to teachings, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. It's interesting to think about what that looks like, what that thinks about. Because if you put yourself in the moment, if you put yourself in the scene, if you put yourself in what's happening, then you got to think about this. Like, they didn't grow up in Sunday school. They didn't have their grandmama telling them stories. They didn't have their parents telling them stories. Like, they grew up in the Jewish faith. They had this understanding, they had this framework of who God was, who Yahweh was. But now this understanding of Jesus being the Messiah who's come and he's fulfilled all these things, like, it's such a thing to them. They want to know everything. It's hard for us to think about what that would be like. I mean, we've got too much of everything. It's 2017, we got celebrity pastors. We've got scholars who write commentaries, and they write commentaries on those commentaries, and you can get 140 characters in your news feed telling you all about Jesus every day. You can get some daily bread sent your way. That's not even really bread. You get emails, you get Facebook videos to inspire you. Like, there is so much out there that sometimes I hear people say, well, I just don't even know what to do. It's just so much. Like, where do I even begin? And the truth is, we don't have a too much problem. We don't have a problem with not knowing where to start. Like, our problem is devotion. I see people being devoted to all kinds of things. I'm devoted to all kinds of things. I rarely see us devoting ourselves to teaching. We need to be eating lunch together. We need to be inviting each other over to our houses to have dinner together. Because it creates and it fosters fellowship and family, and it matters, and you become connected in each other's lives in such a way where accountability starts to show up. You gonna be at church? Yeah, I'm gonna be there. You gonna be a small group? Yeah, I'm gonna be there. We're gonna be there together. Those things happen in such a way. And one thing that we as a modern day church need to get over is the idea that nobody's inviting us. We have to be inviting people over to our houses, to lunch with us, spending time together, so that we are agents of God's grace and mercy by the way we're including each other. All of this is a connection to this understanding and idea of devotion. Devoting to teaching, devoting to fellowship, devoting to prayers. And this idea of devoting to prayers makes all these connections of saying this is an ultimate act of trust. It's a declaration that, God, I trust you with absolutely everything. Think about how hard it is to pray. I mean, it's not actually hard to pray, you just talk to God. But what I'm saying is, like, when you really start to pray, you really start to give God the things that are in your life, and you really start to ask God for help in those things, then what you're saying is, God, I believe that you can change this. God, I believe that you can help me. God, I believe that you're the only answer. And if God's the only answer, it means that you're not in control. It's a declaration of trust by devoting themselves to prayers. Let us be a church that is about devotion. Natural response to a supernatural God. We believe in Jesus. We believe that the God of the universe has revealed himself to us, and he's given us truth through his word. That's what we believe. We believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He's it, and he's everything. And our life should be a natural response to that. And the response is devotion. What does that look like for us as a church? What does that look like for you in your life? I want you to remember. I want you to remember what God has done. And from what God has done, let's remember what he's doing right now. And let's dream about what he could do with our devotion. Let's be about these things.